There's a reason why people fall for the wrong kind of lover. The one who burns bright and then vanishes, the one who intoxicates you until you forget yourself. That lover is not a mistake of desire, but a reflection of something ancient within the human psyche, the craving for intensity. The rake embodies that craving. In Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction, the rake is the archetype of passion unrestrained, a figure who lives through desire, for desire, or by desire. He does not seduce by playing it safe. He seduces by making others feel alive. At the core of the rake is obsession. The rake doesn't pretend to want you, he shows it, openly and shamelessly. His energy is directed, his focus unwavering. Where others restrain themselves, the rake pursues with abandon. He doesn't chase approval, he chases experience. And this is what makes him so powerful. People are drawn to those who seem unburdened by fear, who dare to want something fully. The rake embodies what most repress: raw longing, uninhibited charm, emotional intensity without apology. Psychologically, the rake mirrors the part of us that is tired of inhibition. Society teaches restraint, modesty, and control. The rake ignores all of that. He is freedom personified. When he speaks, he uses emotion as his weapon. When he looks at someone, they feel seen, not politely acknowledged, but consumed. That gaze is not about dominance, it's about fascination. He creates an emotional atmosphere where his target feels like the center of the universe. Every word, every movement seems to say, "You are the only one." But the rake's secret power lies deeper. He understands that people crave to be desired more than they crave love. Love is often slow, patient, and conditional. Desire is immediate, irrational, and electric. It cuts through logic. The rake doesn't offer stability, he offers intensity. He understands that emotional experiences are addictive. Once you've felt the kind of passion that makes you forget who you are, everything else feels dull in comparison. Historical rakes like Giacomo Casanova or Lord Byron weren't just womanizers, they were emotional artists. Casanova could make a woman feel like destiny itself had drawn them together. Byron, with his brooding eyes and melancholy verses, seduced not just with words, but with vulnerability. Both men projected danger wrapped in charisma. They embodied the paradox of desire to be both wanted and untamed. In psychology, the rake's charm stems from something more primal: emotional attunement. He notices details others overlook: the tone of your voice, the way you hesitate before answering, the flicker in your eyes when you're nervous. He reads emotion like language, and through this awareness, he shapes reality. When he speaks to you, he reflects your emotions back to you, amplifying them until you're lost in your own reflection. That's not sorcery. It's empathy turned into seduction. To become a rake is not to fake this energy. It's to understand and channel it. You cannot perform intensity. You must live it. The rake's magnetism comes from his willingness to feel, to dive into emotion without guarding himself. That's what makes him dangerous. He risks heartbreak, chaos, rejection, and people sense that vulnerability beneath the charm. The rake bleeds passion, and others can't help but be drawn to that honesty. In modern life, the rake exists everywhere. The artist who lives for his craft, the musician who bleeds through his lyrics, the entrepreneur obsessed with creation all carry shades of the rake. Their seduction isn't always sexual. It's energetic. They pull others into their orbit through their intensity, through their refusal to live halfway. The rake reminds us that passion itself is magnetic. When you commit to what you love without restraint, people feel it. But there's a darker side. The rake's hunger rarely ends. Once the chase is over, the high fades. The rake is addicted to pursuit, not because of arrogance, but because obsession is his fuel. He needs to feel alive, and desire is the only thing that keeps him from sinking into emptiness. The rake lives between ecstasy and despair, and that volatility is both his curse and his gift. He gives others a taste of aliveness, even if it destroys him in the process. Robert Greene warned that every archetype carries its downfall. The rake burns bright, but rarely lasts. To live in endless pursuit is to never find peace. The rake's path must eventually evolve, or it consumes itself. The healthy rake learns to channel that passion into creation rather than conquest into art, mastery, or purpose. He learns to turn obsession inward, to seduce life itself instead of people. That transformation is what turns the rake from a reckless lover into a force of nature. If you want to embody the rake, you must learn emotional courage. Don't hide your fascination. When something moves you, show it. When someone intrigues you, express it without hesitation. Passion is not weakness. Most people are half dead emotionally because they fear rejection, judgment, or loss of control. The rake doesn't care. His freedom lies in not needing permission to feel deeply. That's his true seduction, authenticity in emotion. The modern rake is not necessarily a man. The energy transcends gender. Anyone who lives passionately, unapologetically, and fearlessly can embody it. It's the person who steps into the world fully awake. They draw others in because they remind them of what it feels like to be alive. In a culture that prizes detachment and irony, the rake's intensity feels revolutionary. To apply the rake archetype is to become aware of your emotional presence. The next time you speak to someone, slow down. Listen to them not with your ears, but with your intuition. Let them feel that you are completely present. Most people are starved of attention. The rake doesn't just listen, he immerses. That's what creates chemistry, not manipulation, but total focus. When you direct your energy entirely towards someone, they feel it on a cellular level. The lesson of the rake is that emotion is power, not the reckless kind that consumes, but the magnetic kind that connects. The rake shows us that the heart, when unrestrained, can move mountains. He is the living antidote to indifference. And though his fire burns dangerously close to self-destruction, it also illuminates the path toward a deeper, more passionate existence. In the end, the rake represents what most people secretly long for: to be wanted with wild intensity, to be seen without pretense, to feel life not as a series of routines, but as a storm of sensation. To live like the rake is to live without fear of your own depth. It's to seduce not just others, but life itself. And maybe that's the final lesson. Passion, when lived fully, is a form of power. Not the kind that conquers, but the kind that awakens. The rake's legacy is not in the hearts he broke, but in the way he reminded others, if only for a moment, that feeling deeply is the most seductive act of all.